Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this video. I hope you're having a good day. In this video, I want to discuss three how questions as it relates to frequency distribution tables. Specifically, how are they read, how are they interpreted, and how are they discussed? So we've gone to all this trouble. We've collected data, we've analyzed the data, and we've built a table, frequency distribution table, and now what do I do with it? And I run into this with a lot of students. They get a little flustered. They don't know what to do. And so hopefully in this video we can answer that. So the first question, how are they read? Well, very simply, frequency distribution tables are read from left to right and top to bottom. Now some people like to do it a little bit different. They'll go from left to right and bottom to top. Is there a right way and a wrong way? Well, to me, either way works. I prefer left to right, top to bottom. Why? Because that's the way I was trained. And that's also the way it's typically done in my field. Once again, you need to go find what are the standards in your field for frequency distribution. The reason why we do that, if I'm dealing with categorical data, it really doesn't matter. But it's easier to interpret the data if I start with the smallest frequency and the largest frequency, and it adds up. So, for example, instead of this data is ordinal, but what if I had, say, categorical nominal data, gender, male and female? Well, what I would probably do is put male first if that was the largest percentage, and female second if that was the smallest percentage. That's what I would do. That's what is typically done in my field. You need to figure out how is it done in your field, okay? So how do we read a table? Well, we typically read it left to right, top to bottom. Okay, how is it interpreted? Now that gets really hairy. We interpret it based on the question that we're asking. So for example, for this table, if my question is related to how recent is the data, or how recent is the information in this dissertation, then I'm going to interpret the data this table one way. If the question is how old is the information, then I might interpret it a little bit differently. Let me show you what I mean. The question is, how recent is the information in this dissertation? Oh, well, I'm going to interpret it by saying the greatest percentage of articles published for this dissertation were done so since 2010. The fewest number of articles published in this dissertation were published in the 1980s. Okay? What if I wanted to ask a question related to the frequency? Okay? Well, the greatest frequency of articles were published. The smallest frequency. So I can either go percentages or frequencies. How you interpret it, you just want to be consistent. I prefer percentages. And the reason why I prefer percentages is do you see how you've got 3.4% here, and that results in just one, frequency of one? That makes the writing a little more difficult. So I've 17 articles, and then it's just one article. And so it makes it a little, sometimes can make the writing and the grammar a little difficult. But if I use percentages, I don't have that issue. So when I'm interpreting a frequency distribution table, I typically look at the percentage. And after I look at the percentage, I then look at the cumulative percent and see if I see any trends there, which is why I prefer to build the table with the highest value at the very top and then work in a descending manner. Now in this case, because the data is ordinal, you wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity. But if it was nominal, you definitely want to. Finally, how do I discuss it? Okay. You always discuss a table before you put it in your text. And you always highlight those points, obviously, that support the story you're trying to tell. It is just that simple. You can't talk about everything in the table. You don't want to sit there and go, in the 2010s, there were 17 articles, and this was 58.6%. In the 2000s, there were 6 articles, This constitutes 20.7% with a total combined cumulative percent of, that's boring. Only pick those points that support the story that you're trying to tell, and then tell it in a way that is interesting. What do I mean? In surveying the Table 2, a frequency distribution of article publication dates for this dissertation, over half of the articles, parenthetical, 58.6%, close parenthetical, were published in the 2010s, or published since 2010. That's what I'm talking about. When we discuss it, we want to use that voice that is interested, but not boring. So, I hope this video has answered some of your questions. I hope it's raised some questions. If it has, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day.